Hey guys, MCU Collector here with another figure review, and next up is the Hasbro Marvel Legends series Supervillains Wave 1 Xemnu Build-A-Figure. Here we have the next villain, Lady Deathstrike. So villain to the X-Men, especially Wolverine. We have the torso piece there. You can see Marvel supervillains, purple and green, as a lot of villains are. Xemnu Build-A-Figure logo up in the top corner. Here we have a look at some comic art style of Lady Deathstrike, which is a little bit different from her design, because you can see she's wearing like some kind of shirt or covering up underneath there, like long sleeve, and it's a different color, so a little bit different. There at the back of the package we have a look at the comic art, and the bio for Lady Deathstrike reads, with adamantium infused bones and cybergenetic enhancements, Yuriko Oyama pursues a ruthless vendetta against the X-Men and Wolverine in particular. Here we have the entire wave to build Xemnu. We are on the fourth Lady Deathstrike, so we're kind of right in the middle of all the figures. Next will be Arcade, then Red Skull, then a.i.m Scientist Supreme. Let's get her out of the box. Okay, and here is the Lady Deathstrike figure out of the package. She does not come with any accessories. She does come with the torso piece to the Xemnu Build-A-Figure. And just kind of when this figure was first announced, I didn't mind the Xemnu figure, but it was just the blatant reuse of some old parts like the Wendigo parts or the Sasquatch, which is fine. Those things are going to happen, but the championship belt that they referred to it as, just kind of being over the figure. Now, I guess it makes sense. I think they should have done a new torso to where this is just part of the torso and not just a rubber piece that's over on top of the torso. So that was always my complaint about it. Looking at it, it looks okay, but you know, you could just tell that it's just something over on top and not actually part of his body. So that's too bad. No accessories, so let's zoom right in and take a closer look at the figure. Okay, so looking at the head sculpt of Lady Deathstrike, looks really, really good. I really like the hair, very realistic to the comic. Or accurate to the comic, I should say, not realistic, because that is not realistic looking hair at all. But it looks very good. Looking at her chest and the torso, the cybernetic pieces that you could see there look really good. Some nice silver paint apps in certain areas. And it's hard to tell because you kind of have to see, because these shoulder pad pieces are actually like a rubber piece that's on top of her torso. Now, it's not really something that you're going to move around. It's probably glued on there, but it's nice. It's a nice touch that, you know, they do the paint and then they add this separately afterwards to really hide it, because they can do that paint, and it looks pretty clean, so I really like that. Looking at the rest, not a whole lot going on with the figure. She does have pinless knees, as these are new legs and feet for her. There's sleeves, not a whole lot going on. We got some red there. There's a swivel there, and then there's a single jointed elbow, which kind of sucks, but the big sleeve looks pretty good. You can see some of the cybernetic wiring and things like that in her forearms and her hands, and these look really good. Hands are her fingers are super rubbery because they're so long, but that looks really good. I'm glad that we got some silver paint at the tips for kind of the nail knives portion, as opposed to just like, you know, gray plastic, so I like that. But there's really not a whole lot else going on for the figure, so now let's zoom out for her articulation. Okay, so Lady Deathstrike's articulation. She can look down all the way. She can actually look up a little bit more than most female figures, because her hair isn't as long as it's already kind of sticking out. You get the full swivel rotation. She has some neck pivot going on in there. Her arms can go up that high. You can do a full rotation. You just have to work around the shoulder pads there. We have an upper bicep swivel, which we don't usually see on female figures, and that is right above that red band there. We have a single jointed elbow, which gives us a swivel at the elbow. My left one is kind of tough and tricky to get it to the hinge, ratcheting hinge to work, but you get that much bend. Her right is much easier for me to just do. I could just do it one hand, but like this one, I feel like I have to hold the upper arm just in case. So you want to be careful with that. There's no diaphragm joint, no ab crunch on this female figure. Usually we get a diaphragm joint. We don't on here, because I don't know of any other way they could really make it look good, and even if they use the shoulder pad piece over a diaphragm joint, would have hindered the articulation anyway. But we get a ball joint at the waist, so she could pivot to her left a little bit, she could pivot to her right a little bit, we can go back slightly, and we can come forward just a little bit. So in all honesty, it's about the same that we would have gotten with the diaphragm joint, and then you have the swivel there at the waist as well, and that is ratcheted. so you can hear it click as you make its turns. Legs go out that far apart. She can't kick forward very high, which is great. She has an upper thigh cut that is very stiff. It's there, but you kind of have to really work it, and you can actually turn that leg quite a bit on that ball hinge joint. She has a double jointed knee like so, no calf swivel or boot swivel, ankle pivot, peg holes at the bottom of the feet, foot hinges all the way down. Get some hinge going up, not a lot. And that's it. So decent, still about what you would see and what to expect with female figures. Pretty soon we'll be getting the double jointed elbows. It just has not happened yet. So one day we will. But let's see her side by side with some characters that she's known to be with. Okay, so Dwight Stahl has always said that he loves the Reavers and he wants to get us more and more characters. I forget their names, but you know, there's the one that the guy has, you know, the upper half, but his lower half is a tank. Maybe we will see some more Reavers down the line. I know if it was up to Dwight, he would give us the entire team and all the different Reavers. But right now, we technically have 2/3, if you want to consider it. We have the Reese head that came with Skull Buster, and now we have Lady Deathstrike. So we have somewhat of a Reavers team. Okay, and of course here we have Lady Deathstrike next to Wolverine, which is really her biggest enemy and one of Wolverine's biggest enemies, and they look pretty good. Lady Deathstrike is a little bit taller, but size-wise, I think they work out quite well together. Okay, and here we have the supervillains wave so far. Dormammu, the Hood, Dr. Doom, and Lady Deathstrike, all rounding out to be a fairly decent wave, minus the Hood, of course, because he's just not... He's just the weakest of the wave, and let's leave it at that. Okay, so my final thoughts on Lady Deathstrike. It's definitely a decent figure. I know Hasbro, or Toy Biz released one years ago, and that was... Toy Biz didn't do real well on their female figures, and I'll be careful what I say about Toy Biz, because Toy Biz paved the way for Hasbro and the Marvel Legends that we love today. So, much respect to Toy Biz. I just don't think the figures were that good, and they just definitely haven't stood the test of time. Some of them may have, yes, but the vast majority, I would say no. That Lady Deathstrike, I think I've seen it before, and it just didn't look very good, and we'll leave it at that. So I think this is a big improvement. It's not a perfect figure, but it is a good one. I'm not sure what else Hasbro really could have done, unless they went like an ab crunch route, but I think the waist ball works for the most part because none of their figures are super dynamic anyway. Female figures, excuse me. Maybe one day we will get a super articulated female figure that gets all kinds of dynamic range and motion, but we aren't there yet, which sucks. Hopefully Hasbro can get there soon, because we would like to see some female figures that can do all kinds of crazy things, but I think this is a very solid release, one of the more popular ones from the wave. I think Dormammu, Red Skull, Dr. Doom, Lady Deathstrike are going to be the big heavy hitters, so I think if you see a Lady Deathstrike in the stores, it's something you might want to pick up. But you guys let me know down in the comments below what you think of the figure. If you guys like this video, please do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. Like, share, all that good stuff, and as always, thank you for watching.